ridicule. And now it's time again for the World of DX Party Radio Media Wave Signals Merry-Go-Round program number 152,320. A new chain of stores of interest to DXers will be opening up soon across the country, specializing in antennas. The new stores will be called Wires Are Us. At the grand opening, the first 100 folks through the door who can say Wires Are Us 10 times in 10 seconds will receive, free of charge, a full-wave beverage antenna custom cut for their favorite UHF frequency. Another new station is in the works, Kevorkian Radio. No, that's not one of those semi-autonomous former Russian republics. It's bon vivant man about town Dr. Jack Kevorkian. Some of the features planned include Your Friend Carbon Monoxide, travel features about hideaway cabins in Michigan, coping with terminal diseases by dying of laughter. An interval signal has not yet been selected, but all sign-offs will be abrupt. Last time we reported on a sinister plot by Iraq duping domestic AM and FM stations into broadcasting targeting information. Examples are Cincinnati 4, New York 3, Dallas 17, New York 10, Sacramento 102, Portland 97, Winnipeg 4, Ottawa 2. Chuck Benke reports reception of similar target number broadcasts from Australia. For example, Footscray, Hawthorne, 14-332, 7-90-97. This is getting out of hand, and something has to be done now. What do the Iraqis want in Australia? Has the trade embargo depleted their supply of Fosters? Please report any similar broadcast you hear to Radio Azteca and to your local authorities. Pee Wee Herman of Raincoat Radio has published his all-time top 10 hits. Number 10, On and On by Gladys Knight and her Pips. Number 9, Clap Hands by the Champs. Number 8, Hand Jive by Willie. Number 7, I've Got the Beat by the Go-Go's. Number 6, The Beat Goes On by Simon Sherritt. Number 5, Beat It by Michael Jackson. Number 4, Beat So Lonely by Charlie Sexton. Number 3, Rub You the Right Way by Johnny Gill. Number 2, Rocket Man by Elton John. And the number 1 all-time Pee Wee Herman Raincoat Radio top hit by the group Mars is Pump Up the Volume. He-Man Radio recently broadcast an insensitive editorial diatribe against Kristen Kay, former head babe of Signals. In this day and age, such discriminatory and manipulative actions cannot be tolerated. Radio Azteca thinks that it would be an appropriate gesture for He-Man to approach WYMN Women Radio to form a new joint venture called the Love Muscle Union. You will recall from our previous broadcast that WYMN has tried and failed to form a union with Radio Beaver to form Hair Pie Radio, and with WHIP, the voice of the hipster, to form Titty Whip Radio. We think that Kristen Kay should be allowed to host a weekly program on how to explain what QSL means to ditzy receptionists. The airwaves have recently been full of pissed-off pirates. Radio DC recently broadcast an acutely worded blast against all Republicans. Radio Azteca has found out that Rush Limbaugh monitored the broadcast and sent Bo Snerdley out with a direction finder to locate the culprit. The expedition was successful, and Rush wants you to know that he plans to visit you some night and fall on you. Sean McCoy, that much-traveled radio personality, has jumped ship again and is now working for Radio Beaver. In recent months, this reporter has seen reports of Sean taking over for Glenn Hauser, romantically linked with Alice Brannigan, calling Ian McFarland a doofus, sleeping with DXers in remote parts of Canada, and moving undeclared electronic gear across international borders. Frankly, we're happy that someone has taken over the headlines from Jeff White. Just exactly who the hell is Ernie Bear, anyway? Whatever happened to Dr. Richard Wood? Does the ASWLC Publishing Committee ever listen to the radio? Does SpeedyX still exist? What does Anarch do? Why doesn't Tom Neidl have a listed phone number? What kind of a name is Ruben Daygold anyway? Does that guy in Finland really hear all that stuff? We here at Radio Azteca are not afraid to tackle the really tough questions. That's all the radio news we have for this installment. We'd like your tips, especially if you're a live woman. Send us those unmentionable questions and items to Radio Azteca's Tips, Post Office Box 102.1 FM, Jersey City, Mississippi, 90210. As usual, we don't give a damn if your tip can be substantiated. If it's not up to our juicy standards, we'll fix it. And now, a message from yet another new Radio Azteca sponsor. Ladies, are you lonely? Are you ugly as sin? Are you getting tired of your fingers? You can find renewed happiness with Dr. Dickey's Dildos. Dr. Dickey has a full line of rippled neoprene dildos in all colors, textures, lengths, and diameters. Dr. Dickey's makes a great gift, and if you're not sure what your recipient's preferences are, get the Dr. Dickey Party Assortment Pack. The Party Pack contains the following models: the Fingerling for beginners, the General Purpose Standard 6-shooter, the Baton Chalaroll with built-in heater, and for you adventuresome types, the Midnight Pile Driver. With a Dr. Dickey, you'll never be alone again.
So I was reading this article in the news about attacking guard dogs that work for the Department of Defense. They got a lot of them. They got about 2,400 dogs that work for the government. They sniff out bombs, of course, and they patrol Air Force, Army, Navy, and Marine bases to attack commies who try to sneak on the base. Yeah. As well as government agencies like the FAA and the U.S. Border Patrol. They train them to compete illegal aliens. Says here, little Tommy, they test thousands of dogs. Most of them just can't cut it. Only about 17% qualify to be a U.S. government account. Says they are tested for, when they get a new dog, they're tested for maturity and aggressiveness in a variety of ways. And the first thing they look for, this is the most important, first thing they look for in a male dog is his urination pattern. Says here, little Tommy.
What do you mean?
Well, when a dog reaches a year old, if he is given the opportunity to urinate on a pole or a fence, but he still squats, it shows immaturity, and he is therefore unacceptable. So, you know, if they get a squatter, they just wash him right out. They think he's some sort of wimp dog who probably eats quiche. Yeah. But if they lift that leg up there and let fly, he's a born killer.
Oh, wow. What else do they look for?
I don't know. I don't care. Imagine the poor soldier, though, who gets that kind of duty. He's assigned to that test. Has to stand around all day and watch
with a clipboard,
watch study urination patterns. How depressing.
Have a nice day today, honey.
What did you do during the war, Daddy? I watched dogs whiz.
Come on, put your mouth. Okay. Come on, put your mouth. That's right. Please, put your mouth. No. Come on. There we go. Like it? It's awesome. Touch it. Like it? Submarine Village in the Northgate Mall.
This is Radio Azteca, your station for adult entertainment implements and foundation wear. Esta es Radio Azteca, transmitiendo desde cerca de la costa del norte y lugares otros en América. Si desea una conmemoración de sintonía de esta transmisión, enviarle sus relatos de recepción a DBC Comunicaciones, apartado 452, Wellsville, Nueva York, 14895. Eso fue DBC Comunicaciones, apartado 452, Wellsville, Nueva York, 14895. Our Spanish announcer, Emiliano Zamboni, who gave the wrong Radio Azteca address some time ago, has asked to return to our Spanish service, having been assigned to our Herzegovinian service. The Radio Azteca administrative staff does not feel that Emiliano has fully served the appropriate tenant, but we would like our listeners' opinion. And there's a new product on the market that you need to know about. It's made by Wham Bam, makers of the famous Badger Hoop. It's the Cozy Dick Penis Muff. It's the perfect gift for deer hunters and high country hikers. It's also great for those long winter de-expeditions into the deep woods. The Cozy Dick Penis Muff is made of the softest Corinthian leather and lined with only the finest Filipino cut hair. Pop it in the microwave for a minute and slip this baby on, and there'll be no more prune dick. Cozy Dick is sold at all fine sporting goods stores and XXX movie theaters. Ask for it by name. Have you got a Cozy Dick?
And this article here about lyrics in country and western songs. Well, they got some real interesting lyrics in cowboy songs. Most of them are drinking and cheating songs, you know, the kind you hear in pickup bars and pickup trucks.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody made a collection of just weird lines in country songs, and they printed them all. There's several hundred of them here. Title of this article, and I guess this is a line from some country and western song. I don't know whether to kill myself or go bowling. So I just circled some of these I've heard of, a few of them, but most of them I never heard the songs before. Here's a line from the song. It took a hell of a man to take my hand, but sure didn't take him long.
I like that, yeah.
She ain't much to see, but she looks good through the bottom of a glass.
Oh, yeah, I've heard that one. That's a good one.
I wouldn't take you to a dog fight, even if I thought you could win. Don't cry down my back, baby. You might rust my spurs. If fingerprints showed up on skin, I wonder whose I'd find on you. Here's a good one. If you get the feeling that I don't love you, feel again. Here's one. Obviously, there's some guy singing this song, and he's in some cheap floozy's bedroom at the time. I'm ashamed to be here, but not ashamed enough to leave. That kind of sums up our situation here at WLS, too. Ashamed to be here, but not ashamed enough to leave. We'll just take the money, thank you. I've been flushed from the bathroom of your heart. Oh, I want to hear it. Now, you really wonder about guys who write lyrics like this, you know, how much drinking they've been doing. It's the bottle against the Bible in the battle for Daddy's soul. Here's one of those. It's commode hugging time in the valley. If you want to keep the beer real cold, put it next to my ex-wife's heart. My wife ran off with my best friend, and I miss him. Oh, I wish we could play some of those songs.
Oh. Your announcer, Bram Stoker, could use a sidekick, but I don't think we could have as much fun as those two guys. And now it's time for another installment of Ask Dr. Radio. Our first letter today comes from Roberta Grove of Brass Monkey, California. Roberta wants to know how she can pull in those really distant medium wave stations. Roberta, we've always felt that a properly installed beverage antenna is best. Since beverages are highly directional, you need to pick out those stations you want to hear. When you've done that, run out a wire in as straight a line as you can to within about 10 miles of the transmitter, then sit back in your easy chair with a glass of Lambrusco and enjoy. This type of reception is also known as the Zicki effect. Letter number 2 comes from Lance Pettit of Pigeon Forge, Tennessee. Lance asks, how come when a signal goes up into the ionosphere, along with thousands of others, that only the one he's listening to comes back? Lance, that's a rather technical question, but Dr. Radio is up to it. You've heard of quarks, those little buggers that protons and neutrons are made of. There are different types of quarks. Ones with flavor, color, charmed quarks, homosexual quarks. Well, electrons in the ionosphere also come in different types. There are pirate electrons, classical music electrons, higher than the others, the electrons of your life, world service electrons, TalkNet electrons, and the very rare electrons Dacuna. Every signal has its specialized electrons up there just waiting to get excited. We hope that clears up the mystery for you, Lance. Sorry for that little break and pause there. Radio Azteca actually got a phone call. Our next letter comes from Samantha Bardo of Ripley, Ohio. Sam wants to know what the most common antenna is. Most people might guess that it's a whip, a built-in coil, or a random wire. But from our experience, the most common form is one that all wire antennas seem to revert to, especially when left unattended, the random coil. Take any neatly coiled length of wire, string it out, and reel it back in, and leave it in a box for overnight, and we're pretty sure you'll find out what we're talking about. A ball of wire that looks like it got caught in a mixmaster. We think that this may be a variation of another common observation, that wire coat hangers multiply when left alone in a closet for more than a week. Paper clips also display this phenomenon. Another property of random coils is that the randomness increases in proportion to the effort applied to uncoil them. If you have a specific question for Dr. Radio, send it to Dwight Patel, 911, French Kiss, Indiana, 18930 kilohertz. Now don't forget, for your copy of a sure collector's item, a Radio Azteca QSL card, send your reception reports in 3-minute stamps, Post Office Box 452, Wellsville, New York, 14895. Now don't forget to patronize our sponsors, Wires R Us, Cantilever Bras, Dr. Dickey's Dildos, and the new Cozy Dick Penis Muff. Until next time, This is your announcer, Bram Stoker, saying Quantu Dorada Nicto. This has been
Radio Azteca.
program number 4. Bienvenido de nuevo, muchachas, muchachos y amigos a Radio Azteca, programa número 5. Holy Quetzalcoatl, folks, we're back again. Radio Azteca, program number 5. Is there no end to this mindless banter? No, not as long as our crack staff here at Radio Azteca and you folks out there keep dredging it up and sending it in. This is your announcer, Bram Stoker. We want to send hearty thanks to our relay stations, the North American Pirate Relay Service, the Unknown Beaver, CSIC, the voice of the Great White North, and to KHTP, whom we understand will be using a new transmitter and site soon. If you'd like a Radio Azteca QSL, send your excruciatingly detailed reception reports. We check every word. And 3 mint stamps to Post Office Box 452, Wellsville, New York, 14895. If your report should have its Blue Ridge Summit, Pennsylvania, or even to Merlin, Ontario, there's an excellent chance that it'll get here very soon. Glenn Whopper says that it was enjoyable to hear fun poked at the Free Radio Society. Glenn, we keep our poker sharpened at all times. Glenn's antenna is also worth mentioning. He says that he has a half-wave dipole run from his bedroom window to a 20-foot conduit that's hooked to a post of a freeway. We hope you didn't spend too much on that. Had a special on that very setup last month. Alfred Spremo sent a straight reception report addressed to Dear Sir, which was very boring. However, as is frequently the case, he added that it was a very funny show, which will get a QSL every time. James Clark said that he didn't care for our brand of humor, but commended us for putting together a definite program of sorts. Your detailed reception report and other comments lead us to believe that the offense wasn't taken too deeply. James also asked that we keep our Spanish announcer, Emiliano Zamboni, and agrees that when wire is left alone in the drawer, it develops in mind of its own. We have observed that unattended wire always reverts to its natural form, a random color. James also wants to know that if drinking Mexican beer makes him an honorary Aztec. No, James, you have to drink an Aztec beer and sacrifice a virgin from the top of the converted view antenna. Edward Lodarski, hope we pronounced that right, also sent in a dull, straight report, but redeemed himself by adding the obligatory funny stuff to keep up the good work. Edgar's UFO is on the way. TJ Skip Airy of Monitoring Times Beginner's Corner and NASWA's Listener's Library said that he enjoyed our program number 4. You did too, Skip. In our last program, we asked whatever happened to Dr. Richard Wood. Skip said that he had been went south with the 83 anarchy. Sorry to miss that. I went to Toronto and did the 4, but Dr. Dickey didn't show. Neither did I, as I recall. Skip reported that either interference was too bad or that we were broadcasting someone's sexual encounter. Skip, you were probably getting a reflection of a signal from our second broadcast when we played a short segment from the new WLIS, We Love Intense Sex. In program number 4, we also broadcast an animal story segment where the boys listed creative country and western song titles. Skip has one to add. Get your tongue out of my mouth, 'cause I'm kissing you goodbye. We got a letter from Charlie Loudon at Pirate Radio Boston sending us a buck wanting a tape with congratulatory greeting on it. But for a tape and postage, for crying out loud. There's just no way that Radio Azteca would stoop so low to offer such greetings. Hello, this is Bram Stoker of Radio Azteca. We'd like to congratulate Pirate Radio Boston on its first anniversary. We've made arrangements with one of our sponsors to provide a Dr. Dickey dildo of choice for the first 2,000 folks who can confirm Alice Brannigan's bra size. Good luck, Boston. Sorry, Charlie, we just don't do that sort of thing. Chuck Benke sent a newspaper clipping with Aztec recipes. That tells you just how newsy it is where Chuck lives. Here's the recipe for drunken sauce. Grill dried pasilla chilies, green tomatoes, pulque, onions, and garlic on a dry como until they change color. Remove the chili seeds. Blend in fresh coriander and salt. Add boiling water and a few drops of safflower oil. In case you didn't know, pulque is a fermented cactus drink. Sounds delicious to us. Place in a bowl and sprinkle with fresh grated white cheese. Now, we'd like to know what happens when you go into your friendly local Alpha Beta produce market and ask for some pasilla chilies and pulque. We'd also like to know exactly what size your head when you drag your como. If anyone's interested, next time you'll know you how to cook. Okay, great. This has been the first installment of Tia Ready Hot, Cocina Azteca.
Recording artist, seems this buxom young lady was swimming in the ocean in this skimpy bikini.
Oh, yeah?
And the surf tore off her top and washed it out to sea.
Oh, gosh.
She came out of the water, little Tommy, and she had herself covered up with her arms and hands. Just then a little boy came by. Hey, lady, if you're going to drown those puppies, I'll take the one with the brown nose. This guy was walking his duck down the sidewalk on a leash.
Yeah?
And he passed by a movie theater, decided he wanted to see the movie, but the teller would not let him in the theater with the duck. And the guy explained that the duck was on a leash and wouldn't bother anyone, but she still wouldn't let him in. So he walked around the corner and put the duck down the front of his pants. And he goes back to the theater teller, and since she can't see the duck, she lets him in.
Yeah?
So a guy goes into the theater, a little Tommy sits down by two little old ladies. They're in the dark. And it was really hot and stuffy in the theater, so the guy thought he better let the duck have some air. So he unbuttoned his pants, and the duck stuck his head out, started looking around. And the first little old lady, she nudges the other one and says, hey, check out this. This guy next to me has his pants open. And the second old lady, she said, well, don't worry about it. You see one, you've seen them all. And the first one said, yeah, that's what I thought too, but this one's eating my popcorn. This was cut out of some Pennsylvania paper. Berwick, Pennsylvania. Headline here says, police seek breast exam hoaxer. Story says, police are seeking a man in his late 20s who convinced a state college woman that he could detect breast cancer over the telephone.
Over the telephone?
Mm-hmm.
How'd you do that?
Police investigators said a state college woman in her 20s, whom police would not identify, reported that she received a call last month from a man who said he was working on a new medical device for Pennsylvania State University. During their telephone conversation, the man convinced the woman that his new device could detect early breast cancer if the telephone receiver was rubbed against the endangered area. So she did this.
Yeah?
And the man told her that he had found evidence of cancer and asked for an appointment later in the day to examine the woman in her home.
Oh, gee.
So he showed up and examined the woman's breast, it says here, laid his head on her chest, and then hummed softly. He left without harming her in any way, and by this time this stupid woman realized that she had been conned and called police, who reported that she was very embarrassed at how naive she was. Yeah. Okay, here's this dog story, little Tommy. This was sent to us by some guy named C. How It Feels, a story from his own personal experience. He writes, Dear Uncle Larry and Tommy, I have a story about a girl and a dog. The story takes place at a small gathering of people at a friend's home. He had just bought a video game and invited us to play it. My friend has one of those small, yapping dogs, more like an animated ball of fluff. But I've been bit by it in the past, and even when I wear Levi's, it hurts when the dog attacks an ankle. There was a girl I hadn't met before at this party, and we were in the back of the room, and while my friends were involved in video games, I was involved in trying to hit on her.
Oh.
The dog jumped into her lap, and she petted a few times, and then became involved in watching someone really doing well attack her. Amazingly, she did not notice when the dog, wanting more attention, took a playful nip at her right breast. Fascinated, I watched as the dog continued with more and more vigorous attacks. Evidently, since there are no nerve endings in foam rubber, she didn't realize what was happening until the dog had worked itself up so much it was growling as it shook its head from side to side with a mouthful of what should have been one of her most sensitive areas.
Oh, gee.
When she finally looked down and saw what was happening, she decided that for appearance's sake, she'd better fake a little pain, and she said, ouch, ouch, no, doggy, no, and pushed the dog, now looking somewhat exhausted, onto the floor. I pretended to be watching the video game and did not let on as to what I had seen, nor I also stopped trying to hit on her.
Esta es Radio Azteca, su estación para los partes de cuerpo. Si desea una conmemoración de sintonía, enviarnos un relato de recepción a DVC Comunicaciones, apartado 452, Wellsville, Nueva York, 14895. We want to welcome back our Spanish announcer, Emiliano Zamboni. Some time ago, Emiliano gave the wrong QSL address, so we sent him down to the miners for a while doing our Herzegovinian service. Several listeners have asked that we give Emiliano another chance. So you will be hearing his melodious voice once again here on Radio Azteca. What would you like to say to the listeners, Emiliano? Puede sus niñas tienen mamitas grandes. Thank you for that touching sentiment, Emiliano. For the Media Wave Merry-Go-Round Signals Party Line, program number 152,321. Here at Radio Azteca, we want to keep all you QSL hounds and country counters up to date on the latest in political mitosis. Uzbekistan has split into two new countries. One will be called Bex Country, and the other part has joined with the breakaway Indian province of Mysore to form the new country of My-Oozing Sore. The Czech Republic, known as Czechia for short, and Myanmar have formed a new union to be called Burma Czech. The new country will have control of the world supply of shaving cream. A bulletin just handed to me says that Enid, Oklahoma has just been declared a new radio country by the Organization of Radio Gatherings and Station Monitoring, Orgasm. It's been a few months since we heard from that group, but I suspect that we will be hearing more. Monaco has split into two new countries, called Upper Monaco and Lower Monaco. A civil war was imminent over control of the famous casino until the Vatican stepped in, volunteering to run it and split the proceeds. Alberta has broken away from Canada and formed a new country called Stephanie. Bosnia, Herzegovina, Serbia, Macedonia, Croatia, Bulgaria, and Romania have joined to form a new country to be called the USSR. Transylvania will remain a semi-autonomous republic. Listen for their broadcast service, Vlad, the voice of the bite. Your announcer, Bram Stoker, listens all the time. The official language of New York has been declared rap. The official language of Old York is Canadian. Radio Korea has changed formats to all soul music. Sorry about that one. One Voice Radio is back on the air as the ground level network. Just Bob once again is regaling us with all that gross medical stuff. Maybe Bob could tackle the age-old question, what makes a person want to become a proctologist? The East Coast Beer Drinker and Radio Scottish Montreal have decided to merge. However, the new station has completely stalled as a new name or format couldn't be found for that union. Perhaps the vast Radio Azteca audience could offer some help here. Send your format suggestions to the Committee on Insensitive Talk Using Signals, COITUS, Post Office Box 6996, Kiss My Moose, Saskatchewan. From the home office in Williamston, Michigan, here are the all-time top 10 gospel hits from Pee Wee Herman's Raincoat Radio. Number 10, Rise Up for Jesus. Number 9, Like a Mighty Sea. Number 8, I Need Thee Every Hour. Number 7, Shall We Gather at the River? Number 6, There Shall Be Showers of Blessing. Number 5, I Will Arise, Go to Jesus. Number 4, how firm a foundation. Number 3, there is a fountain. Number 2, how great thou art. And the number 1 all-time Pee Wee Herman Raincoat Radio gospel hit is Oh Come All Ye Faithful. The CRTC announced a move to placate several influential political factions that in 1997, when Hong Kong goes back to China, that Canadian stations east of the Pecos River will have calls starting with the letter Q. Those west of the river will start with Mackenzie, and those equidistant will move to Arkansas, except those within 50 miles of a state or provincial border operating on a clear channel frequency with less than 25 assigned stations will have to convert to FM SSB. The worldwide audience of the BBC was astounded recently when they've tuned in and not heard the old reliable programs. The mainly conservative listeners have been treated to bootleg ads, silly comedy skits about dead parrots and penguin intercourse, lumberjack songs, and serious sacrilegious commentary. The new program director, Montgomery Python, was quoted as saying as he could not understand the controversy, and now for something completely different. Is it possible that Dr. Gene Scott and Ladd, Voice of the Night, are related? Just a thought. Say it isn't so. E-Man Radio is going to an all-Kristen K format. All Kristen K all the time, the Kristen K of your life. At least we may get to hear the occasional red rubber ball by Circle. Will broadcast continue in upper sideband, the manliest of all broadcast modes? The ground level network mentioned previously, your pirate medical consultant, will soon call on sister station WHIZ, Whiz Radio. The format will be in-depth discussions of urination, color, odor, velocity, and spray patterns. A special feature is planned for the first broadcast on what happens when you piss on an electric fence. The Radio Azteca research staff has discovered that for several years, the news copy read over Radio Tirana, Radio Havana, and Radio Pyongyang has been written by the same man, a Russian by the name of I Am Pissed Off. Since the commie demise, IM has taken up residence in Tonga, so we expect some revisionist Pacific news from Paradise to start filling the airwaves soon on 50-30 kilohertz. Maybe IM will revive the old reliable Spanish Tonga program, Radio Impacto. Well, that's all the tips we can make up this time. If you have tips, send us a picture at Formula 44, Cunnilingus Boulevard, Waxahachie, New Hampshire, Z95.5. Remember, if your tips aren't good enough, we'll jazz them up, as we don't give a damn if there's any truth to them or not.
I'd like to introduce you to a brand new product just for you. It was created by the combined efforts of both Cattle's and Oak Farms dairies. The new dairy-flavored douche. Give yourself that clean, creamy feeling with any one of our fascinating flavors. This buttery butternut, holiday egg roll, yogurt yum-yum, the more sensuous women and nymphos, the whipped cream supreme with special applicator. One push of the button, and you become a delicious soda fountain feast. A juice that will make you precious as well as delicious. Guaranteed to have your man on his knees. You pour on the cream for the man of your dreams. And give your inner beauty that silky, milky treatment. When he asks you about Derriere, simply whisper in his ear. Just listen.